right. So, I'm so curious to know about your spiritual awakening journey. That is always at the forefront of my mind for people when I'm connecting with people and somebody like you and all that you're doing in the world. I'm like, how did you get here? What brought you to this moment? And yeah, tell me about your whatever comes up for you. If you want to start from childhood, what your family experience was like, and then how you evolved as a person, throughout your lifetime and kind of what brought you into this work that you're doing now and where you're at in this present moment.
I love this question. I actually laugh, well, not laugh, to myself. I just think when I think of spiritual awakening, everyone seems to have such a unique story where they had some sort of realization that threw them on their ass and that they were like, oh my gosh, things are just completely not how, we've been lied to. And it's like this whole thing that people go through months of days, months, even years of this, all these realizations. But I feel like I've always had a knowing. And I don't know if it's because I don't know, like I have a 12th house Scorpio stellium for anyone listening, you know what that means. Like the subconscious, the underworld. And I have a Scorpio sun too, and like three major planets in the big six. And so I've always just like every time I learn something new about the spiritual world or spirituality in general, I'm just like, oh yeah, like of course, that makes sense. I've always been like that. Growing up, my dad, this is how I got into astrology. So he would always make comments about me being a Scorpio or any, so I would say something and he'd be like, "Oh, that's such a Scorpio thing to say," or whatever. And so I've kind of always been into it. And he would always talk about me. He's like, "You should get into yoga." And I would always read kind of alternative ways of living that led to spirituality. But I wouldn't say I really got into it until when I was 27, I had my son. And around his first birthday, I started working online because I did all the right things. I went to college, got the degree, had a job in my field. And around his first birthday, I was like, okay, I have the salary. I did things to like make my life better because growing up, grew up in a trailer park. My dad actually was in and out of jail. He passed away in 2013. And so we always kind of struggled. And so I'm like, okay, the answer is going to college, and this is what everyone's doing. This is what helps create the life that, all the rich people that I see, this is how they have nice lives. So I'm like, this is what I have to do. And then I realized around my son's first birthday, I'm like, I don't have enough to pay for all my stuff because it was on my single income. His father wasn't really helping at the time. And so that's when I got into online business. And from there, I would say I started reading the books. I got into Bob Proctor and Joe Dispenza and Abraham Hicks and all these spiritual teachers that we all know. And from there, I was like, okay, learning all these concepts around, your inner world creates your outer world and your thoughts become things. And there's more to life than 3D reality. I was like, holy shit, like this all makes so much sense. So it wasn't really an awakening moment where I was just thrown down and like had this crazy realization. I was like, oh yeah, like this makes so much more sense than what I've been taught or what I've learned through schools and, institutionalized different things. Because I went to church growing up. I was baptized Catholic. And so we went to church until I was around 12 when my grandma passed away. And my mom was like, "We're done going to the church." I'm like, okay, great. At the time, I didn't really have any sort of feeling and no hate to Christianity or anything. Like, whatever you are into is your own journey, and we all have our own relationship with God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. But I didn't really resonate with it growing up either. I remember just observing we had like catechism at the time, if anyone listening knows, you know what I'm saying. It's the Wednesday school that we would go to and just observing the teachers and the things we would do. And I was like, I don't really know about this. And so when I got into reading the books about like the spiritual side of things and understanding that we all have this nature and this aura and this soul inside of our bodies, I was like, okay, this is makes way more sense to me than any of the other teachings that I've heard of. And I did learn about different religions when it comes to like Eastern religions too, which I love. Buddhism and Hinduism. I love learning about that stuff. I really resonate with that. But just all in all, for me, being spiritual, being a spiritual being is encompassing all of it because to me God is in everything. So is God is in all of these religions too, in my point of view. Like he is through he, she, it's the world. I don't know. It's like an energy that I can't even explain. It comes to us in multiple different ways, however you decide to worship or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so I would say it was when I got into entrepreneurship really helped expand my spirituality. And I don't know if I would really consider it an awakening, to be honest, because it's never really been something that I felt like I didn't already know. It was just the remembering, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that all makes so much sense to me. And it sounds like we have a lot of things in common in the way that we view the world and think about all these things because I also believe a lot of what you're saying about God being in everything and those types of things. And
Hmm.
we're just like, spiritual beings having this human experience. So, it's just kind of the evolution of the soul throughout the life.
Yes.
But it is interesting to look at where you came from and where you're at now and all of the learnings that you've done and all the tools that you've utilized that have helped you, transform really, I feel like into this person that you are now. So it's really inspiring to hear your story. So thank you for sharing that part of yourself. And the next question I have is I'm so interested to know more about how the Source Junkie was born. So take us through that journey. What did that look like and how did that all unfold?
Yeah, so 2018, around my son's birthday, like I said, when he turned 1, I needed to work online. I saw a girl making exactly what I needed to make to pay for daycare costs. And I think daycare, if you're a parent, you understand it's very expensive, especially when they're in those first couple years, especially as a newborn. So I'm like, okay, I saw this girl making money on the internet. And I was like, okay, if she can do it, so can I. And I say this every time I'm on a podcast, but that's the most powerful thing you can think. If you see someone who's living a life or creating something and you are observing it, you're observing it for a reason. It came into your consciousness for a reason. That means it's also possible for you, because if it wasn't, you would never even be able to think about it. So when I saw that, I just jumped in immediately. And this is with direct sales. So I got started in direct sales network marketing. And I know so many people have different feelings about those types of companies, but I really did learn a lot. And I learned a lot about, that's when I started to read the books, because if I didn't have people in those companies that were, top income earners making a bunch of money and telling us how to create our own success, I would have never got back into the books, because, and I've always been a reader, but growing up, it was more so fantasy and, Babysitter's Club. I remember loving that when I was a kid, and like things like that were fiction. I didn't really get into personal development until I got into business. And I'm so forever grateful for that, because that's what led me to understanding all these concepts and learning about spirituality. So anyway, when I really got into understanding the spiritual side of business, because I'm like, business is spiritual. It's like 90% the way you think, and it's like 10% your output, because your inner world creates your outer world. So, however you're feeling is going to show up in your results, and whatever you're thinking is going to show up in your results. So, I was in direct sales for like 5 years, 2018. I stopped working. I worked in two different companies. So 2022, I kind of cut it off. I started Source Junkie in 2021 though, because when COVID hit, I was working full time at the time. I was a knitwear designer for 6 years, and I worked with a small vendor. I was a designer, and then all of my designs we would get them produced in China, and then we would sell to like Target and Kohl's and JCPenney's and all these big box retailers. So you probably still see my designs out there in the world, because they reuse the same designs over and over. But when 2020 hit, the apparel industry got hit really hard because no one was shopping. So we had millions of dollars of units stuck in our warehouses in China. So we couldn't move. We couldn't move new product in, because the old product wasn't going out. So at the time, the company I worked for, they were like, it was a small company of 12 people. So they're like, we don't really have money to continue paying. And I was the last person hired on. So they were like, we're going to give you a severance, we're going to let you go. And so this was 2020, like August. And at that time, I was like, okay, I'm just going to continue. Like, I'm not going to go back to the 9 to 5 job world or whatever. And then a year later, wait, let me back up a little bit. So 2020, that was August. And then I think the spring of 2021, I read Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. And that's really when I really started meditating, like getting super into it and understanding all the concepts that he teaches. But that book is probably top 5 books. If you're listening to this, I love, love, love that book. My jaw was dropped the entire book. I think I highlighted every single page, like all the pages, and I revisit it all the time. And so from there, that's when I really understand, like really, and you read these things and you have this knowing and this understanding, but it's the embodiment and the actual applying to your life. So after I got done with that book, I'm like, okay, I was thinking about creating Source Junkie or just a page, because I'm like, I still want to use my college degree. I love being creative. I love design work. And I'm like, I want to create an Instagram where I can still use my creativity. And I wanted Source Junkie originally to be like a spiritual boutique where I would create my own merch. And I did all this research and actually set up a Shopify. And I found these not local, domestic printing companies that were just in the US that would print to order. So there was no waste and whatnot. And so I originally started it because I wanted it to be a boutique. And I remember I had a Zoom call with a girl who was giving me a human design reading. So if anyone knows what human design is, that day I was like, she's like, you're a projector and telling me all these things about myself. And she's like, you need to be wait to be invited, and your profile is 1-3 and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, that's so freaking cool. And so then we got to talking just really about where I wanted to take my life at the time, because I hadn't started the page yet. So that day on that call, August 19th, 2021, Source Junkie just had her birthday. She's a Leo. But on that call, she's like, well, I was telling her I want to start this boutique online where I can, still use my creativity. And she's like, well, why don't you start the page today? Like, I invite you to start the page today. And I was like, okay. And at that moment, I wasn't really the name Source Junkie. It just dropped in. I just went with it. And so I feel like when I get in these really creative, inspired spaces, I just make decisions really quickly and do it. I don't really overthink. I just take the action and go. And I'm like, I can always change it, but I think it's a good name. I'm like, I think it sticks. And it's the kind of, people know me. People know me. It's so weird to say. Um, so then anyway, I started the page and had this plan to start creating merch and doing design work and all this stuff, but I knew I needed to build a following first. So I was like, I'm going to post for 3 months and started building a following. And then I would say for the first 90 days, I just posted like 3 times a day. And if anyone here doesn't follow me, I originally started the page it was just reposting people like in the spiritual niche, in the manifestation niche, consciousness niche, like all the things under the spiritual umbrella. So I was posting and then 3 times a day for 90 days straight. And I would say in that first 90 days, I didn't really have a ton of followers yet, but I think it was around the 4 month mark. I had one, it was a Dolores Cannon reel, popped off. It was like my first viral reel. And so from there, I got like, I went from 200 to 15,000 followers overnight almost, it seemed like, even though I had been posting for 3 months straight every single day, 3 times a day. Okay. So if you hear this, you just like the consistency is everything. And I wasn't paying attention to the Vanny metrics either. So then once I got to 15K, I'm like, okay, I'm going to launch my store. And I launched my store and I had, I made sales here and there, but I was still just continuously posting because I was continuously getting comments on all the stuff I was sharing that it was helping so many people. And this is right around, 2021 is like when people started coming online to the spiritual world and learning about all this stuff. It was kind of like where the awakening of the collective started happening and people started to become more aware of all these things and these concepts. And all the comments I was getting, I was like, I can't stop posting now. Like I'm helping so many people with their mindsets and their beliefs and how they feel about themselves and whatever. So I just kept posting. And then a little bit later, mind you, I was still doing direct sales at this time. I would say maybe like a year later, 2022, I started getting people messaging me about promoting their stuff, like other entrepreneurs who had smaller accounts. They're like, do you do promos? Because I think within that year, then by the end of my first year of Source Junkie, I was at like 400K. So it was really crazy growth. And so people were reaching out to me like, can you help promote my offer? I have this offering and this and that, and I do this coaching. And it was like people that were aligned with what I was doing that would make sense for my audience, right? So then I created this service and started making money that way. And so I kind of put the store on the back burner and yeah, and I did that for a good year and a half. And now I'm kind of at the point where I stopped doing that service and I'm creating my own offers and sharing about my own things that I have. And I have my own coaching, my own membership, and courses that I offer. So it's been like a lot. Started as a spiritual boutique where I faceless too. I didn't even show my face for the first probably until 2023, like a year and a half. So it was faceless for a while, trying to do the boutique thing that I didn't really make a ton of money doing that, just some sales here and there. But then when I started doing the promotion of other people and kind of had affiliate links and whatnot, that was really good. And now I'm like, okay, it's my time to shine. It's my time to shine, baby. So now I have my own stuff that I'm offering and talking about, and it's been such a fun journey. I did have a really crazy 2024 though, which we can talk about if you want to, but so that's kind of how she was born and how we got to where we are today.
That's beautiful. Oh, I love that. I love hearing the behind the scenes of like how everything evolved. And yeah, that's so awesome that it just kind of like happened so naturally, it seems like for you,
hmm
you know?
hmm
A couple of questions. One is what was the company that you were working for? The companies, what were you selling in direct sales?
Oh, the names are so cringy to me now because I hear people, I know what people think. But like I said, it was a really great learning opportunity, and I learned a lot about leadership and growth in social media and stuff. But the first company was It Works. It was health and wellness. I actually really love their products. And then the second company was Modern Nature, the hair care, skincare brand. And they were all organic and vegan products too. So I've always been really into health and wellness because my dad passed away from colon cancer when I was 23. So and he was in prison, actually passed away in prison hospice, which is a whole other story. But because the food that they feed you in prisons and jails are just, it's disgusting. And plus he wasn't really, he was an alcoholic and he didn't really have great eating habits even when he was not in jail. And so that kind of like opened my eyes to we need to take care of our bodies because he was only 59 when he passed away, and it was really sad to watch and see how he kind of just deteriorated. I'm like from all the alcohol, from all the shitty food that he was eating. So I've always really been into taking care of or paying attention to what I put into my body, what I eat, what I consume, what I put on my skin, what I put on my hair. So those companies and the products really aligned with what I'm about. So I did pretty good. I built full-time incomes up with both of those companies. So, because I cared about the products. But what I loved the most about direct sales was the leadership part, was the mentorship part, which is why I now have my own coaching and mentoring offer. But I loved seeing people and helping people create a vision for their lives outside of whatever their current reality was and helping them see like you can create whatever you want and this is what you can do and this is how you can get there. And social media is such a great vehicle to do that. And it gives you all the abundance and the time freedom and the money that you need. And so that was my favorite part was the coaching and the leadership of that.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like you took everything that you learned and kind of made it work for you in your
Hmm.
own way, which is
Yes.
what life is all about. It's like take what you're given and figure out how to make it work, you know? So
Yeah, it's all like stepping stones, really. You have a dream and a vision. And for me, I've always had a really big vision because growing up, like I said, trailer parks, like we didn't really have a lot. We were had to shop at Goodwill. My mom would barely let me shop at Walmart, okay? Like so I'm like, okay, I know I want a life that I can live. Like I have this idea of luxury that I want to create. I'm still not there because I don't put a time limit on my vision. Once you have a really strong vision, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there. As long as you keep it strongly in your mind and you keep working towards it, everyone has a specific path that they're going to follow, right? So it doesn't really matter. Like, don't, if you put a time limit on your dreams and your goals, that means you don't even really believe in yourself because there shouldn't be a time limit. So anyway, I'm still not exactly to where I want, but I do know where I'm going. So that's why I never give up, even though, it was my 7th year of entrepreneurship anniversary in June of this year, 2025. So I'm not like somebody who just starts and goes to $1 million in their first year with, from starting. So it's like, I just know where I'm going. And I think that's really important is to have a vision like that. And that's what I help a lot of people with in my membership and through my coaching is like, what do you want to create? Like, what do you truly want? What does your inner child want too? Like, what did you love doing growing up? And how can we turn that into a business that you actually love waking up to and creating every day? And it's not about the achievement or the results. It's like the process. Do you love the process? Do you love waking up and putting your heart and soul into something every day? Like that's what it's all about.
yes, I love it. That should be the goal for everybody every day.
Yes, exactly.
Ah, the world would be such a different place if
I
that's
know, and that's my goal is like to help people get there because I'm like, there's room for all of us to do that.
I think we're all like coming to that point slowly but surely. You know,
Hmm.
that's what this grand awakening I feel like is all about is people,
Hmm.
awakening to that idea and that way of living. So that's
Yes.
so the other question that I have is going more into the whole intention behind this interview in the first place, which is your money, your journey with money and your money mindset, and how has that evolved over time? So, like you said, coming from a family that lived in trailer park where you were shopping in thrift stores, barely even in Walmart, like how have has your what have you done? Whatever you, I have so many questions, but like what does that look like over the span of your life and your evolution with your relationship with money? Just whatever you have to say, tools that you've used, the shifts that you've made, and when did you become aware of your money mindset and like,
Hmm.
had things that you wanted to shift and change?
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite topics of all time because I was always curious. I remember growing up, going to my friends' houses at school, and I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin of 1,000 people. And so most of my friends were pretty like, middle class or higher, like well off. And they all had these huge houses and these huge yards and like nice cars. And they all had like the cutest, best clothes. And I was like, I can't like, luckily I've always been kind of, not to toot my own horn, but like I've always been cool. So they've always been my friend. Like I've never had a problem making friends or like fitting in per se. I remember in 5th grade one day, I was just like, the popular girls table at the lunch room in the lunchroom. I'm like, I'm just gonna sit with them and hang out. And they just like accepted me. And I don't know if it's because they were just nice people or if it was just because I'm cool, maybe a little mixture of both. But I was like, okay, I'm just gonna hang out with these people. So then that's when they started inviting me over. And I just remember thinking as a kid, like, how do these people have so much more than we do? Like, what is it that they're doing? Like, why is my life so much different than theirs, but we're still, we're friends and we're just all people. Like, what is the difference? And it's because, the choices our parents made, I guess. And so then growing up, I was just like, okay, that's why I went to college. So I'm like, I need a better life. I need to have the lives that all my friends had that I saw when I was going to their houses when I was in middle school and high school. And so I went to college, got the degree, yada, yada. And then I was like, after when I realized, I'm like, I went to college, I did the things right. I did everything right. I did what society told me. I'm still not, at the time too, I left this part out. When my son, the first year of his life, we lived in a split level house in the basement part with a guy. So it wasn't even like we had our own house, renting for his basement. And it was like a kind of a separate unit the stairs were still open, so it wasn't like we were completely closed off. Like we still shared the space, we shared laundry and stuff. So then at that point, I'm like, what? I was like, what the fuck? Like, why am I have the degree, I have the things, like, why am I still not living in, this dream house that I want, which I'm still not, but I did manifest this apartment, which we can talk about in a minute. Um, but so then I was like, okay, and then the very first book I read that actually bridged the gap between what money is. Like, money is an energy, right? And it's just all about how you feel, which is projected into our 3D reality, and our money thermometer too. So Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by Harv Eker is, I actually listened to it like 4 times, and then I got the hard copy and highlighted pretty much the entire book again. I always highlight a lot because it just helps me remember. But that book was like the one book that probably shifted everything for me. And then I found all the other authors later, but that book really helps you understand that money is an energy, and it is all about how you think about it, and it is all about, like, you have a financial set point that you will continue to live at if you don't change your inner world, if you don't change the way you think about money, the way you feel about money. Growing up, like my dad, thinking about the way that your parents, this is what I learned just from this one book alone, and there's other book recommendations I can give too, but just from that book alone, he was thinking, he went through the whole thing, like, what did you hear growing up as a kid about money that you still have as a program today? So a lot of the common ones are, you have to work really hard to make money. So I felt like I had to, and I used to be so masculine in my business approach where I was working so many hours. I would be working around the clock. Like, I would ignore family events. I would kind of like ignore my son too at the time when he was little, because I'm like, I really need to build this life that I can give him that's going to be better later. So right now it's sacrificing the time, and just really, really masculine, working really, really hard, because I knew, because I was programmed, that you have to work really hard to make a lot of money, right? But that's not true, as we know. If you don't know, now you know. Like, you don't have to work really hard to make money, because how many people do you know that work really hard their entire lives and still have nothing to show for it? It's because they don't match their work ethic with the vision. Like, they don't know what they want, so they just keep spinning their wheels, working really hard for like 60 years of their life, and then whatever. So that's a whole other thing. But so that's one. Another thing is, like, money doesn't grow on trees. Save your money for a rainy day. Like, why are you going to save it for a rainy day? Like, things like that, or that all rich people are bad, or that you're going to become a bad person if you make a lot of money. That was a big one for me. Or that you have to do things that are illegal to make money, right? I remember when I read this part of the book, it like threw me on my ass, because he was like, if you think that you have to be a drug dealer or do something illegal to make millions of dollars, and this next part will be for you. And I was like, oh my God, like, I totally had that thought. And I don't know if it was because I watched too many movies. I was around kind of a lot of drug usage and stuff growing up too. So I was like, oh yeah. And the people that sold the drugs that I saw would have nice cars and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, you got to be a drug dealer to make money. But it's not true. It's just not true, right? So all these programming beliefs these limiting beliefs that we have around money that we are programmed with in childhood, you have to get really clear on what those are. So that really helped me too, because then I did realize it doesn't really matter how hard you work. If you have value to bring to the marketplace, you don't have to work really hard, right? You just bring the value. Like, your value can far outweigh the work ethic. I know that rich people are actually really generous, and they do this on purpose in the media too, where they don't really show the good things that people do with their money. They only show the bad things that people do. So then you are constantly thinking about, like, all the fucking, sorry for cussing, the rich people of the world that do, that are doing terrible things with their money, because there are terrible people that are doing terrible things with money. But money is just like, it's the knife story. If you've heard the knife story, like, if you have a knife, you can use a knife to kill somebody, or you can use it to cut tomatoes. Like, it's all about the person with the intention behind the tool, right? So it's just really starting to understand where your limitations came from, where your programming came from. So from there, that was when I was around 28. And then I just really started to shift my beliefs around, like, I know I'm a good person, and I know that money is just going to amplify who I am. It's not going to make me into something worse. So that was something that was really helpful. Just like, okay, I know once I am really abundant in my finances, that I'll be able to give back to people outside of myself. Because if you think about it, actually, like, only being able to take care of yourself and your immediate family is actually more selfish than having an overflow where you can pour into your community, and you can pour into organizations and causes that you care about. It's like, you will have an overflow of abundance to help and contribute to the things that you want to see expand in this world. So all of these ideas all came from books, essentially. And it was around 28 when I really started to look back on my childhood and realize the programming that I did have. A couple other books that I do love: Happy Pocket Full of Money by David Cameron Gikandi. That one's so good. It's so just really about the inner world and like how money is not real. He talks about money and time not being real in that book. And I know it's like a foreign concept if you've never heard this, but it's so true. Like it really is just the alignment. And it's like you have to really you have to read the books to really grasp this because I know it sounds crazy, especially if you are someone who's like struggling to make more money. It's like, how can you say that? And I know people get upset when I say this, but it's true. And then what other one? How do Jen Sincero, How to Be a Badass at Making Money. She also has Just How to Be a Badass. That one's really good too. Um, The Soul of Money is really good. I forget who the author of that is, but and then Money is My Friend by Phil Laut. I love money books because, like I said, this topic has always been like really interesting to me. So just understanding that money is an energy and you have to align and feel in yourself that you are wealthy, that you are abundant, and it will just start showing up. Money is just a byproduct of how you feel about yourself and how you see the world and how you think about it.
Yes. Amen. Yeah, yeah, once again, I just feel like we have a lot in common because pretty much everything that you said, I'm like, hallelujah. Yes, I
Yeah.
feel you, I get you. And I'm thinking the same way. But can you speak a little bit more deeply about like did you, okay, besides reading the books, because obviously you got a lot of really helpful information from them and it did help
Mhm.
to shift your mentality to a large degree, it sounds like. But did you have to go deeper than just reading the books? And so what were those things that you needed to do? Because like I totally understand everything that you're saying, and I have read a handful of money books as well. The Awakened Millionaire is another really good
Oh,
one.
I haven't heard of that one.
One's a really good one. And I've read the Sincero. I don't know how to say her last name, but those books I've read both of those. And then oh, what is that? Napoleon Hill. The
No, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, that's a classic.
That's like, yeah.
Yeah, the OG.
Mhm.
But like so knowing all of this stuff and reading in a book, I feel like is part of it. But then
Mhm.
like the deeper stuff, because for me, I've realized that like you were just saying at the end there of the self-worth, it's a self-worth thing, and so like I'm still uncovering these deep, like the probably the deepest layers of like
Mhm.
trauma or whatever that shit happened to me. Cussing is allowed, by the way. I'm a big
Okay, great.
unfortunately, or whatever, but like, so yeah, I think you get what I'm getting at here. What were the
Mhm.
deeper things that you uncovered in yourself that you had to remove or reprogram, and how did you do that?
Mhm. I think the biggest thing that helped me was thinking about money as a friend or a lover or somebody, a family member that I loved, and treating it like a person. Because once I realized I was doing all the things where I was repelling money because I was ignoring my bank account, I wouldn't look at it. I would like, I just had no idea what was coming in or what was going out. I would get upset if I had to pay bills, right? And so what's another thing? Like holding on to it, not spending. Like I'm like, I can't circulate my money because I need it. I need it so badly, desperately, I need it. So thinking about if you are really needy and desperate with in a relationship, if you are ignoring somebody, one of your best friends, like somebody that's taking care of you all the time, like with all of your bills, money is literally there for you because if you didn't have the money to pay for things like your car or your phone bill or your rent or your mortgage or whatever, like you would literally be homeless with and with nothing. So it's like thinking about like this entity, this energy that's there for you all the time, taking care of you, actually having gratitude for it and paying attention to it. Having money dates was really helpful for me. So every month I go through my calendar and I know exactly what's coming out on what day, how much is coming in, where it's coming in, and getting really serious and getting intimate, having that intimate relationship with my money, knowing exactly what I have, that really helped catapult me actually, because then I wasn't spending frivolously. I wasn't, and then every time I pay a bill, so every time I pay my car note, I'm like, thank you for the money, and just getting really grateful and doing these practices because then when you say thank you and you have gratitude in your body, you're like, wow, thank you for this car that I get to drive that takes me to places that I need to be. Thank you for this house that I live in that I get to pay rent for, and just really thinking about it like, wow, without this, without money, I wouldn't have anything. So, really having that gratitude for what you do have because of money, that really helped me see like it's here to support us. And I just did this 9-day money challenge in my membership last month, but um writing a note to money too and writing what confuses you about it, what you love about it, what you hate about it, writing it in a note as if you are kind of going on a first date with it, and like what you need to clear around the negative feelings you have about it and how can you switching the negative thought processes, and again, having the awareness and actually journaling it out. Like, how do I think about money right now? In what negative ways am I thinking about it? And then switching those. So again, the gratitude thing. Like, I know so many people that complain about paying their bills every month. They're like, oh, it's the first of the month. I got to pay my bills. I got to pay my rent. It's like, okay, that energy is really negative because you're not making room for more. Like, why is God, source, universe going to bless you with more if you don't even appreciate what you have, right? And so also taking care of your things like your house and your car, keeping them clean, showing Gus. We can call it Gus. I heard somebody say this where they referred to God, universe, source as Gus. So like Gus is not going to give you more if you can't even take care of what you have. If you don't appreciate what you have, you can't even take care of it. You can't keep it clean. So really paying attention to keeping your space clean, keeping all old energy out too, like getting rid of old things that you don't use anymore. Putting all these practices into place really helped open the floodgates for more to come in. And like I said, I'm not where I want to be, but I am, full-time content creator, I guess you would say, which I know a lot of people want to get to that point. And because of these practices that I did, having money dates every month, knowing exactly what I'm spending, where it's coming in, keeping my space clean, keeping my car clean, having gratitude for my bills when I do pay them. Those are all really tangible things that you can do um, to start shifting your beliefs around it to then start welcoming more in.
Yes. Yes. Once again, I love everything that you said. And I have more questions. So I think, I don't know, maybe I'm still, I'm in the process of trying to understand all of these things in this world. And it's like so much to try to comprehend and to put together and then to take that information and those learnings and actually integrate them into what do I do now? Like, how do I
Mm-hmm.
do the life that I'm like, trying to create, right? And so I think I'm getting stuck, or I think that I understand part of something that maybe is actually blocking me. So maybe you can help me in that and tell me how you feel about this for you. But like, okay, so there's the conscious mind, right? There's the actions that we can take
Mm-hmm.
in the present moment, moving forward from this point. Who do I want to be? What do I want to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do to be
Mm-hmm.
that person? And that is super powerful, and that's almost like an instant form of manifestation, because you can literally be like, I want to be a different person right now. I'm going to change
Mm-hmm.
who I am. Like, you can just start acting differently, you can start thinking differently, you can start feeling differently if you're consciously aware of what you're doing. So it takes a high level of awareness to be able to do that, but it
Mm-hmm.
can be done, which is actually so empowering and so freeing and can allow us to make those quantum leaps, I feel like. But here's the thing that I keep getting tripped up on, because then there's the subconscious, right? And so I feel like the subconscious is also so powerful. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so like if we have shit, like our self-worth is down here, right? And we need it to be up here in order to attract that level of success or whatever, in order to be that person that we want to be, you know, like how relevant do you feel like that is? Because I'm getting really mixed messages from different sources. Like, I have some people who really focus on that deep inner healing and that trauma, that, those wounds, and where do they come from and how do we heal those so that we can release them and then we can be that new version of ourselves, right? But maybe there's this other way of thinking, which is like, maybe we don't need to do that. Maybe that's actually blocking us, like seeing ourselves as this wounded person and continuing to come back to, okay, what do I have to heal? But it's like, I don't know. So I just get all jumbled up in my brain when I try to decipher like which of those is correct. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's a way that they are working together somehow. So tell me your thoughts about all of that.
Okay, it's a never ending journey, right? We're all still constantly learning, and like I'm not, like I said, I think a couple times, I'm still definitely not where I want to be, but and I just said last week too, like the word healing is really, I'm like so sick of the word healing. Like, we're ascending, we're transcending, we're transforming, we're rising from the ashes, we're phoenixes coming up from the dirt. And I'm like, I'm so sick of healing. Like, and we are healing. We're never going to stop. But it's like, what are we transitioning from? Like, how are we rising out of what we just learned, and how are we getting to the next level? I'd rather use it like a transcendent type of word than healing for some reason. I don't know why. It's just like giving me the ick lately. um, so for the self-worth thing, I think you do have to, in the subconscious, it's like you do have to reprogram that stuff. Something that helps me with my subconscious, which I don't know, two things actually. I listen to sleep meditations at least 5 nights a week, every time I'm at home. Not really so much if I'm on vacation, because I have to. What I do is I put it on my tablet on my dresser across my room in my bedroom. I don't have my phone in my bedroom at night. I plug it in the bathroom. And for some reason, like when I wake up in the morning and my iPad's on, I don't like go and look at all my apps, even though it's the same because they're connected. It's funny, but just something in my brain. But I put sleep meditations on every single night, which I can share with you. I have a whole sleep meditation playlist on YouTube that I didn't create them. It's just like different creators that have these really good sleep meditations because when you go to bed, like when you're right about when you're about to fall asleep, and then right when you wake up in the morning, you are in theta brainwave state, which is how you are literally rewiring your subconscious because that's the brainwave state that kids are in from ages 0 to 7. That's why we're so impressionable. That's where we get all the programs that actually stay stuck in our bodies and our minds. So if you can also just reprogram that now as an adult, but you have to know when you are in that brainwave state, which is right before bed and right when you wake up. So if you have a sleep meditation on, and there's so many different types of like you can do them about wealth and luxury and abundance, you can do them about like grief or healing from heartbreak or whatever it is that you're going through. If you put on sleep meditations consistently, you will start to rewire yourself because what happens is these people that have these created these 8 hour long videos, they kind of just repeat themselves over an hour. It just like goes on a loop, but you can't understand when you're sleeping and you don't have to have it on super loud. It's not like you have to be able to consciously understand what they're saying because your subconscious will soak it in at night. So by doing that, people ask me often actually, because I've been going through like a kind of a rough personal time the last couple months, but I'm always in a good mood. I'm like, everything's working out for me. I know everything's happening for me and nothing is, it's just going to be a really funny chapter to look back at when I get to where I'm going. And people are like, how do you do that? I'm like, I think it's the sleep meditations because I constantly reprogram my subconscious with the sleep meditations. And it's not like you really have to do much either. You just put it on play, put it on low. You don't have to be able to really hear it. And that really works for me. So that's something you can do. You can do it for money wounds too, and like any type of self-worth, anything. Like there's so many different, I have like, I think 50-ish videos in there with a bunch of different topics. The key is though to do it every day. You have to do it every day, or at least, while you're home. And remembering, set a reminder in your phone to remember if you need to. And then when I wake up in the morning, I don't look at my phone for the first hour. So it's still playing. And then I still have the sleep meditation playing because I'm still soaking it in then in that theta brainwave state when I wake up. And then I journal and I do dream journaling where I'm like, or I just do streams of consciousness too. I kind of journaling and then the sleep meditations are my two favorite modalities to help bring up old memories or like subconscious beliefs or anything that my ego hides because I think a lot of us, I know a lot of people that actually don't remember a lot of their childhood because your ego literally suppresses the memories to protect you, right? And a lot of like I didn't really have a super, I didn't have any abuse when I was younger, nothing like that. So I know some people do have that kind of trauma that their ego hides from them. So it's like you're suppressing a lot of stuff, but you need to remember to forget, right? So if you never bring it up into your conscious mind, if you never bring it back up into your memory, it's hard to do, I know, especially if you who do have something majorly traumatic that happened, is like you need someone there to hold you through that stuff, where I think healing is very important. Like you need to bring that stuff up so your body can release it because otherwise it stays stored in your lower three chakras and then it causes dis-ease in your body. So it's like, yes, like healing those kind of traumatic incidents so that you can free yourself and let yourself believe that you are worthy of much more is so important. So doing that kind of healing work does need to happen. But outside of that, I would say the subconscious reprogramming and then the journaling. And for me, when I journal, I do streams of consciousness, which is just kind of randomly in the morning, I just start writing. And I feel like I am still sleeping or like I black out when I journal. Because then when I read it back to me, I'm like, oh my God, it's like my subconscious speaks to me through my journal. So like, I don't even know what I wrote. And then it helps me actually bring up all these things. I was sitting in this over the in the middle of August. If you guys don't follow Vital Mystic, I love her so much. She is a ritual. She does rituals all the time. She's like a witchy astrology queen. But she had this 5-day ritual series during the Venus Jupiter Kazemi, and it was all about wealth codes. So during that, I was in a journal session during one of her meditations, like after we did a meditation, and then I journaled and I actually realized a wound that I still have around money because my dad was in jail most of my life growing up. And to me, money is a masculine energy because it wants to take care of you, it wants to provide for you, it wants to give you things and help you, protect you and all these things. So that's very masculine energy to me. And it also at the same time, it's like both because it does want to flow and be circulated and be received by people too. So at the time though, I was like really thinking about money in a masculine way because I did that challenge, the money challenge, and I was thinking about like dating money. So I was really getting into the role play of like treating it like a person. So and I am a straight woman, like I love men, okay, even though maybe I shouldn't. That's another, we could do a whole other episode on it. But the patriarchy, gosh. So anyway, I realized though during that journal session that because I did have this distrust with my dad growing up, because he was, even though he was a great father when he was around and he was funny and I like loved his sense of humor and I did learn a lot from him, he was gone like every year or so. He would be in jail and then out of jail, in jail, out of jail. So I created this really this barrier of emotional trust and like physical trust. Like, he wasn't there when I needed him. I couldn't talk to him when I needed him. And so it was like this masculine trust issue came up because of my dad that was trickling into how I was dealing with money too. So like, oh, I don't know if I can trust it. So it would come and go. It would come and go. It would come and go. I just realized this because I'm still working on it too, you guys. And so it's like, I'll get a lot of money and then it will be got like not around a little bit for a while. I'm like, this is so like my relationship with my dad. Like this is exactly what it is. And this is just a realization I had like less than 30 days ago. So it's like never ending, but doing the journaling. Journaling is something that has helped me majorly to just reflection. I love, I just finished a journal actually the other day. I need to start a new one. But journaling and the sleep meditations is like, that's what helps me personally really uncover these different issues when it comes to self-worth or our limiting beliefs or the trauma that we have and the healing that we need to do and the reprogramming that we need to do. So those two things alone, and of course it's like going to healing retreats and having people there with you. I'm a person that loves sitting in solitude, and like I said, I don't have like a ton of trauma that I need to like really work through outside of just like being poor growing up. It's like my biggest thing, and the dad thing with him not being around. But it's like those things are what has helped me the most. And the consistency, again, it all goes back to repetition. The more that you repeat something, the more that you do things on a daily basis, the better they're going to help you, the faster you're going to overcome these things. So I hope I answered your question. That was kind of long-winded.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's so great. And I do have so many more questions, but we are getting towards the end of our time together here today. So, yeah, you did definitely answered it to a huge degree. I tend to be very long-winded as well, so there's always so much more that I could say, but I am doing a lot of journaling, which has been so powerful for me. I've already filled up a whole, what is the word for those books? The black and white books with the
Oh yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's not like a notebook. It's something different. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
they're called right now. But anyway, but I've just started a new journal because I already filled one of those up in the past like few months. And the journaling is so powerful. I've had some
Mhm.
really healing experiences just with journaling, and also doing sleep meditation. So it sounds like I'm on the right track. Yeah. So I think one of the differences that I maybe am noticing in the way that you're presenting yourself and talking about your experiences versus maybe what's happening internally for me is that it sounds like you're not, because you're saying that you don't feel like you have a lot of trauma to heal, although growing up really poor is a traumatic thing to go through as a
Mhm.
child, and having
Mhm.
a father that's in and out of jail is traumatic, you know,
Mhm.
in itself. Having because of the abandonment and all of the
Yes.
things that go along with that, you know. So but what I'm recognizing about you is that you're not identifying as a wounded person, which is maybe where I'm getting stuck because I'm so
Oh yeah.
on this healing and I'm like, what is this shit that I have to release? And maybe I'm just supposed to be like, I'm fine, bitch, like I can I got this, you know, like look at me now. So
I got chills in my body. I've never even thought about it like that. Cause I'm like, I am like this where I'm like, I don't know, everything's fine. Like life's been fine. But then I'm like, it is that. I'm like, I've never identified as someone who is like, I've never really identified as like a victim, I guess, in a way. So that's really, wow. You just like gave me like an aha moment.
that's amazing. And I do feel like that's part of my role is to reflect things back to people because that's what I see when
Mhm.
you're talking. So yeah, I need to stop thinking of myself as a broken, wounded person, I guess.
Yeah, it's the same like I was saying. I mean, like the healing, like and I know it has its place and it's so important. But the word healing, I'm like, can we just like change the wording? Like we could change it. We're transcending, we're ascending into something greater. We're ascending into everything that we're meant to be, that we already are really. It's just peeling back the layers and shedding everything that's holding us back. So
For sure. And there's, you know, that's my handle is ascending with Amelia because
yes.
that's what I'm focusing on is we're ascending. It's happening whether we are going there or not. Like the
Mhm.
ascension is something that is out of our hands at this point. We can participate in it and we can be active participants and we can go on that journey with the universe, you know, but it's happening regardless of whatever we're doing, but we can do a lot of things to help ourselves through this process. And I think that's what my focus is. And so we have to part of see, I'm just so I don't know, I'm so stuck on this healing thing because these these emotions that get trapped in our body, these lower density frequencies, they're not able to exist anymore. And but we have to release them, I believe, from where I'm at right now. We have to release them in order to raise our vibration, in order to go on this journey of ascension. Because
Yes.
if we don't, that's when the shit gets manifested in the body in the physical forms, cancer, all the shit. Like that is the trapped energy in the body that has not been released from traumatic experiences, whatever, whatever. So yeah, I'm still digesting. I'm still trying to understand. But yeah, you have answered a lot of my questions. So thank you so much for all of the information that you have shared, all of the stuff that you've shared that's so personal about your life and about your upbringing and about you as a person. I really appreciate you doing all of that and sharing who you are. So just to wrap up here, what are you doing now? What are you working on now? And where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so if you don't follow me on the Source Junkie, source, like source, God, universe, Gus, our guy Gus. It's the Source Junkie on Instagram. I also have a personal page, which I'm a lot easier to reach, is just Alyssa the Source. So I'm tagged in the bio if you want to get me there, because the DMs are way easier to keep track of. I need an assistant like immediately. But so on there, then you'll find my links in my bio where you can find all my how to work with me one-on-one. I do one-on-one coaching. I have a membership that you can try free for a week. And then I have a bunch in my classroom. In my membership, I have so many different tools and mini courses. I'm actually just started a mini course around, I call it the creator codes. So anyone who wants to get started online, building a business, this creator code mini course is 6 weeks. We meet every Monday. And if you are hearing this maybe at a later date, the replays are all available. I have mini courses on vision casting. I have a life scripting course. I have a mind movie workshop. I have so many resources and tools in my membership that you can go through. And then we have the community, of course, where you can connect with other like-minded people. And then I offer digital products. I have a digital wealth academy course that is also very in-depth to help you understand how to build your business online, which is cool because you can use it as an affiliate. Like I didn't create that course, but it's just nice that you get 85% payout, so you can make a good amount of money with that course while you're learning, which I love. So yeah, the mentorship, the membership, and digital wealth academy is like what I really focus on. I also have my own podcast, Choose Your Soul. I'm just starting to host retreats this year. My first one is this October. We're going. We have 12 people secured. Me, I have a co-host. My podcast co-host is also my retreat co-host. We're like the masculine feminine balance. It's a male that I do this stuff with, but yeah, so that is kind of everything I want to continue. We're going to continue doing retreats. I have a lot of big dreams and goals down the road. I want to eventually do Source Junkie festivals and conventions and like quarterly meetups, and I want to do full moon or some type of moon meetups, which I know you've done that, so I need to talk to you about that more behind the scenes. But yeah, so many things. But find me on Instagram, and check out my links. DM me if you have any questions. And I appreciate you. This was so fun. I love these kind of conversations. So I appreciate you for inviting me. And yeah, we'll connect soon.
Yay, thank you so much.